The leadership of the Third Reich concealed human experiments in secret mountain tunnels, in the basements of ancient castles, and deep underwater. There, they studied the impact of psychotropic substances on humans, attempted to clone living beings, and worked on the creation of weapons that could destroy the planet. You probably didn't know about all of the Nazi experiments, so watch the video to the end. And if you feel that same spark of intrigue and passion for unearthing amazing discoveries, be sure to subscribe to our channel. It's free and will take you on endless, fascinating adventures that will transform your perception of the world. Let's get started. Number 1. Evacuation tunnels. In the Alps, archaeologists discovered secret tunnels intended for the evacuation of the Nazi leadership. These underground structures carved into the rocks are impressive in their planning and scale. Researchers believe the tunnels were part of a carefully planned network designed for a hidden exit in the event of the fall of the Third Reich. Recently discovered documents and plans confirm this. The routes passed through inaccessible areas of the Alps, which would have allowed Nazi leaders to avoid detection and pursuit. Archaeological finds include ventilation shafts, hidden exits, and small storage rooms with supplies, indicating long-term preparation for a possible evacuation. These tunnels could have played an important role in the fate of the Nazi elite had the events of World War II gone differently. Number 2. Search for the Antarctic Base. The legend of Base 211 in Antarctica is one of the most enigmatic theories related to the Nazis. According to rumors, the Nazis may have built a secret base in this isolated region during World War II to seek refuge after their defeat. The base was supposedly located in the Queen Maud Land region and was equipped with advanced technologies that allowed the Nazis to survive in the harsh conditions of Antarctica. Recent research and expeditions have generated renewed interest in this theory. In recent years, several artifacts have been found, including fragments of equipment and objects with distinctive German markings that could belong to German expeditions in Antarctica. Some researchers claim this is evidence of a Nazi presence in the region, although most scientists do not believe this. There is also evidence that the Germans attempted to establish bases in Antarctica during the 1938 expedition, but no confirmation of Base 211's existence has been found. Despite the lack of direct evidence, myths about the secret base continue to intrigue researchers and conspiracy theorists. Number 3. Laser weapons of the Third Reich. During World War II, Germany was actively seeking ways to create an entirely new weapon that could turn the tide of the war. According to some sources, the Nazis were working on prototype laser installations. These developments were carried out within the framework of several secret projects, including studies in the field of optics and high energies. One such project may have been the creation of the so-called ray weapon, or death ray. Research in this area was based on the advances of German scientists such as Werner Heisenberg, who were studying the possibilities of using lasers for military purposes. In theory, such a weapon could attack aircraft, tanks, and other equipment at great distances using focused energy beams. The technological level of the time did not allow for the full implementation of such projects, and after the war, most of this research remained only on paper. However, every year, archaeologists uncover different artifacts and documents related to the Nazis, and what once seemed like a legend actually turned out to be a chilling truth. Number 4. Battle of Kursk. Archaeological research at the site of the legendary Battle of Kursk, one of the most crucial engagements of World War II, continues to reveal surprising finds. This battle, which occurred in the summer of 1943, became the largest tank battle in history, determining the future course of the war on the Eastern Front. Excavations at the site of this massive engagement have revealed hundreds of artifacts that allow us to better understand the course of events and the conditions under which Soviet soldiers fought. Among the finds are Soviet T-34 and German Tiger tanks, fragments of weapons and equipment, as well as ammunition. These findings will help historians reconstruct the battle sites in detail and understand how the tank and artillery duels unfolded on the Kursk battlefields. Soldiers' personal belongings were also found: medallions, letters, and elements of uniforms. These items help us see in a new way the human side of the war, the difficult conditions the soldiers faced, and their daily lives on the battlefield. Number 5. Secret Project Bell. According to various sources, this was a top-secret program aimed at creating technology ahead of its time. The bell was a bell-shaped device composed of a metal casing and filled with a strange substance called red mercury. Experiments were conducted in a remote laboratory in Poland, near Wrocław. Research related to this project covered a wide range of topics, from anti-gravity to time travel. Some theories claim that the Nazis were attempting to create a device that could change the course of the war using advanced physics phenomena, such as the distortion of space and time. However, the results of the experiments remain unknown, and after the war, all traces of the bell disappeared. The secrecy surrounding the project generated numerous rumors. Some believed the device was evacuated to South America or fell into Allied hands. The question of whether the bell actually existed remains open. Number 6. The Nazis and the Ancient Giants. Among the numerous occult and pseudo-scientific theories that the Nazis actively promoted through the Ahnenerbe organization, one of the most enigmatic is the idea of the existence of ancient races of giants. The Nazis believed that these giants were the ancestors of the Aryans and possessed great physical strength, wisdom, and advanced technologies. They were considered an example of the superiority of the Aryan race, which the Nazis sought to demonstrate. The goal of the Ahnenerbe expeditions to Tibet, South America, and Scandinavia was to find archaeological evidence of the existence of giants. These searches were part of a larger program aimed at finding artifacts that could strengthen the Nazi ideology about the purity and superiority of the Aryan race. Some expeditions are said to have found the remains of gigantic beings, skeletons, skulls, and large bones. These findings were supposedly to be used in Nazi propaganda to confirm the ancient myths about a great race from which they believed the Aryans descended. However, there is no reliable scientific evidence for such findings. Number 7. Experiments with psychotropic substances. Excavations at a former SS site in Austria have shed light on one of the darkest and least known aspects of Nazi experiments. Archaeologists discovered the remains of laboratories where experiments with psychotropic substances were conducted. This site, located in a mountainous area, was carefully hidden from public view, allowing it to remain unnoticed until now. The laboratories were equipped with the most advanced technology of the time, and the artifacts found give an idea of the scale of the research carried out there. Among the finds are vials containing traces of chemical substances, complex distillation and synthesis apparatus, and diaries with notes detailing the experiments. According to the records, research focused on the impact of psychotropic substances on human consciousness. The Nazis actively sought out forms of mind control, attempting to develop substances that could be used to suppress the enemy's will or alter their perception of reality. The effects of drugs on soldiers were also studied, with the aim of improving their combat capabilities or lessening their fear of death. Records found in the laboratories contain shocking details about how the Nazis conducted experiments on concentration camp prisoners, using them as test subjects. Number 8. Peenemünde Testing Ground. Peenemünde was one of the main sites in Nazi Germany where the first ballistic missiles were developed and tested, including the famous V2. This testing ground, located on the Baltic Sea coast, was not only a center of technical innovation, but also a symbol of German engineering might. Today, Peenemünde remains an important object of archaeological research that reveals little-known details of those years. Recent excavations at the testing ground site have yielded numerous interesting finds. Archaeologists discovered fragments of V2 missiles that were used for testing. One of the most interesting discoveries was the cooling and fuel system, which shows how complex the development and testing processes were. Scientists also found traces of destruction caused to the testing ground in the final days of the war. Peenemünde was not just a missile testing ground. This place was a center of research activity related to the creation of weapons ahead of their time. Who knows how this terrible war would have ended if the Germans had managed to create ballistic missiles capable of causing enormous damage at great distances? Number 9. Research on witchcraft. The Hexen Project is a mysterious project rumored to be linked to Nazi research in the fields of occultism and witchcraft. According to reports in one of the secret laboratories, the Nazis conducted experiments aimed at studying magic, ancient rituals, and supernatural forces. This project supposedly arose under the influence of high-ranking officials of the Third Reich's interest in the occult and the idea of seeking ancient knowledge to create powerful weapons. Recent archaeological discoveries in Eastern Europe have increased interest in this theory. In one of the abandoned bunkers, strange artifacts were found that could indicate occult practices. Among the finds are ancient manuscripts describing witchcraft rituals, symbols related to Germanic Scandinavian mythology, and altar structures that were supposedly used in rituals. Objects resembling magical amulets were also found, suggesting that the Nazis sought the ability to harness magical forces for their own purposes. Number 10. Connection to the ancient Egyptians. Among the numerous occult theories, the connection with the priests of ancient Egypt held a special place in the Nazi interest. The leaders of the Third Reich, especially members of the Ahnenerbe organization, believed that the priests of ancient Egypt possessed secret knowledge about the afterlife, magic, and dominion over death. According to them, this knowledge could be used to gain control over spiritual and physical forces, which would make the Nazis invincible. Nazi expeditions to Egypt, organized under the auspices of the Ahnenerbe, were aimed at searching for ancient artifacts related to the pharaohs and their rituals. Of particular interest was the cult of Osiris, the god of the underworld and resurrection, who symbolized eternal life and power. Osiris, as the patron of resurrection and the cycles of life, could, according to the Nazis, give them the key to immortality and control over the soul. The expedition sought to find ancient texts and artifacts that could reveal the secrets of the priestly rituals performed in the temples. The Nazis sought magical objects such as wands, amulets, and sacred scrolls that could give them access to spiritual power using the magical rituals of the ancient priests. Although no official evidence of successful finds or magical artifacts was presented, the Nazi elite believed that the priests of ancient Egypt possessed true knowledge about the nature of life and death. Number 11. Laurentius Library. The legend of Laurentius's library, compiled in the Middle Ages and containing extremely rare magical manuscripts and texts, is shrouded in mystery and myth. According to legend, this library was stolen by the Nazis during World War II and hidden in one of the German castles. The Nazis, fascinated by the occult and ancient knowledge, actively sought out artifacts and ancient texts that could provide them with access to supernatural powers. Laurentius's library is believed to have included manuscripts on alchemy, astrology, and magical rituals, as well as ancient treatises on power and secret knowledge passed down through the centuries. Recent discoveries at one of the Bavarian castles, supposedly linked to Nazi occult projects, have revived interest in this legend. Several ancient manuscripts were found in underground storage rooms that could be part of the lost library. Among the texts found are ancient treatises in Latin and Greek, as well as enigmatic records containing alchemical formulas and symbols. Number 12. Cloning Lab in the Carpathians. A truly shocking discovery has been made in Romania, an abandoned laboratory rumored to have been used by the Nazis to conduct cloning experiments. This secret facility, hidden deep in the mountains, remained unknown for a long time. But recent excavations have uncovered fragments of equipment, containers for storing biological samples, and diaries containing scientists' notes. This laboratory may have been part of a broader Third Reich program aimed at creating the perfect human being. The Nazis were actively interested in genetics and biology, with the goal of creating a race of ideal people, strong, resilient, and absolutely obedient. The discovery at the Carpathian Laboratory supports these rumors. Among the finds are bioreactors, devices for maintaining vital functions, and glass containers likely used to store biological materials and tissue samples. Traces of substances possibly used for genetic manipulation were found in some containers. The documents found here describe experiments in animal cloning, particularly attempts to duplicate genetic material to create identical organisms. Some notes indicate ambitions to create not only copies of animals, but also to reproduce a genetically enhanced human being. Furthermore, traces of experiments on accelerated cell and organ development were found, which could indicate attempts at artificial cultivation of body parts. These studies, if indeed carried out on living beings, demonstrate the extremes to which the Nazis went in their scientific pursuits. The laboratory was suddenly abandoned in the final months of the war, as the Nazis began to retreat from the region. Many documents were destroyed, but surviving fragments indicate that work was carried out at an extremely high level for its time. Currently, there is an official ban on the study of cloning worldwide. Number 13. Submarine base in Argentina. The existence of a secret Nazi submarine base off the coast of Argentina has long been the subject of rumors and theories, but recent research appears to confirm this theory. Researchers have found evidence of a German U-boat shelter in remote areas off the Argentine coast. According to some reports, these bases could have been used to hide U-boats transporting Nazi officers and resources to South America after the end of the war. The discoveries include remains of underground tunnels and shelters that could have served both as U-boat parking areas and as centers for intelligence activities. Among the finds are metal structures, fragments of equipment, and old maps indicating possible U-boat movement routes along the coast. These objects could have been part of the Nazi plan to create secret safe havens where their elite could hide after the fall of the Third Reich. Argentina, known for its neutral policy during the war and its close ties with former Nazis, was an attractive refuge for fugitive German officers. Submarines such as the U-530 and U-977 arrived in Argentina after the war. Number 14. Yamashita's Gold. One of the most fascinating and enigmatic stories related to World War II is the legend of Yamashita's Gold. This story begins with Japanese General Tomoyuki Yamashita, who, according to numerous accounts, managed to amass a vast treasure captured during Japanese military campaigns throughout Southeast Asia. Legends claim that at the end of the war, anticipating inevitable defeat, Yamashita and his subordinates hid these treasures in various locations in the Philippines. Since then, Yamashita's gold has become the object of numerous expeditions and searches, attracting treasure hunters, historians, and adventurers from around the world. However, no expedition has yet succeeded in finding conclusive evidence of the existence of these treasures. The legend of Yamashita's gold suggests that the hidden treasures contained not only gold and precious stones, but also artifacts of incredible historical and cultural value. According to one version, the Japanese command used a complex system of ciphers and maps to mark the storage locations of the treasures, much of which was lost or destroyed in the final days of the war. Dozens of expeditions have been undertaken in attempts to unravel the mystery of Yamashita's gold, many of which ended in tragedy and even death. This underscores the dangers associated with treasure hunting and the difficulty of searching in the jungle and mountainous conditions of the Philippines. The story of Yamashita's gold continues to inspire new generations of researchers and serves as a reminder that many mysteries of World War II have yet to be revealed. Who knows? Perhaps one day someone will manage to solve the enigma and discover the lost treasures. Number 15. Lorenz, Cipher Machine. The Lorenz cipher, used during World War II by the Nazi German High Command to transmit secret messages, is one of the most complex cryptography devices of its time. Unlike the better-known Enigma, which was intended for battlefield communication, Lorenz machines were used to protect strategically important communications between the Wehrmacht's high command and the government. The Lorenz cipher was so complex that it took the Allies considerable time and effort to break it. The work of British cryptographers at Bletchley Park, including Bill Tutte, Max Newman, and Alan Turing, led to the creation of one of the world's first electronic calculating devices, Colossus, specifically designed to decipher Lorenz messages. The first opportunity to break the Lorenz cipher arose thanks to a mistake by a German operator who sent the same long message twice with minor changes and the same encryption key. This error gave cryptographers a unique opportunity to understand the machine's operating logic and develop a method for breaking it. A physical copy of the Lorenz machine was an extremely rare trophy. The story of how one of these machines was found after the war in a river in the United Kingdom adds intrigue to the history of British cryptography. The discovery allowed researchers to directly familiarize themselves with the technique they had previously only been able to study theoretically. Today, the Lorenz machine and the story of its decryption bear witness not only to the intellectual confrontation during the war, but also to the birth of computer technologies. Number 16. Sadojima Island. Sadojima Island is marked in history as one of the darkest places of the World War II period. It was nicknamed Hell on Earth due to the brutal treatment of prisoners of war who were held in extremely harsh conditions. Located in a remote part of Japan, this island became a place of mass suffering and death for Allied soldiers captured by the Japanese army. In recent years, archaeological excavations on Sadojima Island have shed light on the dark pages of its history, revealing the living conditions, treatment, and circumstances of death of the prisoners, forced to endure unbearable conditions of hunger, disease, and abuse. The island, used for military purposes, was isolated from the rest of the world, allowing what happened there to be hidden from international knowledge. Survivors' accounts and historical documents bear witness to the inhumane experiments and brutal treatment the prisoners endured. Number 17. Quest for the Spear of Longinus. The search for the Spear of Longinus, also known as the Spear of Destiny, is one of the most famous and mystical artifacts in history. According to Christian legend, this is the spear with which the Roman legionary Longinus pierced the side of the crucified Jesus Christ. Many legends claim that this artifact possesses great magical power, allowing its owner to rule the world and attain unlimited power. The Nazi leadership, especially Adolf Hitler, was convinced of the power of the Spear of Destiny. Hitler first saw it in his youth in a museum in Vienna and was so impressed that he later described that moment as a turning point in his life. Many great rulers of the past, such as Charlemagne and Napoleon, were believed to have possessed this spear, which supposedly helped them achieve their great accomplishments. Hitler was certain that if he obtained the Spear of Longinus, it would ensure him not only victory in war, but also world domination. When the Nazis came to power, the search for the Spear of Destiny became part of their program to gather ancient artifacts that could strengthen their influence and power. Secret investigations conducted within the Ahnenerbe organization focused on the search for Christian relics and other ancient objects that possessed magical or religious power. The Spear of Longinus was considered the key to the success of the entire Nazi project. In 1938, following the Anschluss of Austria, Hitler ordered the Spear of Destiny to be immediately moved from the museum in Vienna to Nuremberg, where it was placed in a special room for study and preservation. During the following war years, the Nazis continued to search for the original spear, fearing that the one found in Vienna might be a copy and not the true artifact. The Ahnenerbe undertook expeditions across Europe in search of traces of other relics related to the spear. It was believed that the spear might have been lost or hidden during the Crusades, and the Nazis actively studied old maps and texts for any clues. Secret missions were sent to the most remote corners of Europe and the Middle East, trying to find evidence that might lead to the real spear. The fate of the Lance of Longinus remains one of the mysteries of World War II. After the capture of Nuremberg in 1945, the artifact was found in the city treasury and handed over to American troops. Number 18. Dark Wizards of Königsberg. The dungeons of Kaliningrad, formerly Königsberg, hold many dark secrets. One of the most sinister is the legend of Laboratory 13, a place where the Nazis conducted occult experiments with the goal of enslaving the world through control of the human psyche and soul. These experiments were said to be based on the ancient knowledge of the Teutonic order and magic, absorbing all the power of numbers and ancient rituals. Königsberg, founded more than 800 years ago, was initially a center of Germanic mysticism and power. It became a stronghold of the Teutonic order, from where knights set out on the Crusades. This city represented the German people's yearning for eastward expansion, Drang nach Osten. However, the Teutonic order was not only military, it also utilized occult practices, alchemy, and black magic, which gave its actions a mystical significance. According to legend, it was here, on Kniephof Island, in the center of present-day Kaliningrad, that the Teutonic masters founded a secret settlement of black magicians. While the Inquisition persecuted magicians throughout Europe, they practiced freely here, summoning spirits, creating homunculi, and engaging in alchemy. The number 13 had special significance for the city. It was the sum of the digits of the year of its founding, 1255, and also coincided with the start of World War II. It was said that there were 13 schools of magic in the dungeons of Königsberg, the most famous being the Doll School of Old Magda, where doll doppelgangers were created to harm enemies. Nazi leaders such as Heinrich Himmler sought to revive the ancient traditions of the Teutonic Order and actively used Königsberg as a center for occult research. Hitler, believing in the city's mystical power, ordered the founding of Laboratory 13, where horrific experiments were conducted. This facility was located on Kniephof Island and occupied 4 old buildings near the cathedral. Occultists of the Third Reich used the underground to conduct experiments that fused European occultism with Eastern esoteric practices. In 1943, Tibetan monks were observed in Königsberg, brought by the Nazis to participate in rituals. The rituals included using the bones of defeated enemies to create mystical instruments, ritual drums, and flutes. The experiments covered all aspects of black magic, from invoking spirits to mind manipulation. The underground laboratories held the eyes of various creatures that the Nazis believed could predict the future. Nazi magicians are known to have revived old Magda's doll school, creating life-size dolls of Allied leaders Stalin, Roosevelt, and Churchill. In 1940, Churchill learned of the rituals and ordered massive bombing raids on Königsberg. However, all the buildings of Laboratory 13 survived, while the cathedral was destroyed. In response, Nazi magicians performed a curse ritual against Great Britain, using gold from the dead and other materials to create a copy of Princess Blanche's wedding crown, a symbol of English purity. Soon after, the British Empire began to crumble, and Churchill was not re-elected for a second term. Laboratory 13 was also linked to the well-known Nazi occultist Hans Schuro, who predicted the fall of Berlin and the capture of Königsberg by Soviet troops. To prevent his prediction from coming true, Hitler ordered his execution, and on April 13, 1945, Schuro was murdered at Königsberg's North Station. The fate of the Laboratory 13 occultists remains a mystery. Well, that's all for today's coverage of the Third Reich's darkest and most enigmatic secrets and its hidden experiments. Which of these discoveries left you the most shocked? Tell me all about it in the comments section below. Check out other fascinating topics coming up, and I'll see you next time. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe for more intriguing and exciting content. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next adventure.